Hey, what's going on, you guys? Jake from the Mon Valley Fisherman here, and I'm bringing you another podcast. Might be a little muffled, might be a little bit of noise in the background. I'm driving. I'm on my way to my girls, but I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about early spring baits that I tend to use to catch smallmouth, walleye, sheephead in the river. And I think it'll help you give you guys an overall basis as to what I'm looking for or why I'm using and whatnot. So, but yeah, how you guys been doing? Not too bad. Cold. You know, we got that cold front that just came through yesterday and from last night. And man, it just put a damper on everything. We were starting to get really good, consistent 45-degree days, 50-degree days, and kind of sucks. But looks as if by next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will be good to go and start getting to fish the river a little bit. Now, one thing I want you guys to take a look at. I want you guys to go on google.com. Oh, crap. And if you guys are not aware of, you can find the river's water temperature, the Monongahela River, some parts of the Yauk, and I want to say the Allegheny has it too, where you can find out water levels and water temperature. And the reason why I bring that up is because once that water temperature starts to creep back up into the 46, 47 degree range, that's when I like to start to get back consistently fishing, especially for walleye, smallmouth, sheephead, carp. Even you got carp guys, you catfish guys. That's when the water temperature will really start to rise. Not really rise, but bump it up a few degrees over a span of time, and it'll get those fish wanting to move and eat and find some stuff to eat. So, and they'll come out of their wintering holes. So I want you guys to go on google.com, put in USGA, and put in Monongahela River. And what you'll see is that you'll see the USGA website come up. And what I use is the Elizabeth lock system water temperature for me to really determine. If you guys don't have a boat or any electronics or anything along those lines, you guys can take temperatures yourself, you know, with a temperature gauge and whatnot, thermometer, water thermometer, or whatever they call them. But you'll go on the USGA website. It'll tell you the height of the water, which is a big critical part of what I plan on doing, what I've always actually done when I found out about the website. Water temperature and how much flow is coming out of the dam or the lock system. And what I've noticed was, once it starts to creep up, like I told you, at that 47 degree mark, them walleyes start to push in. Them walleyes start to really get active. Yes, you can catch walleye all winter long. You can consistently catch them if the weather stays somewhat milder. But with the fluctuation of water temps and the rise of the water, that all helps. That all helps and gives you your positives and negatives. But I'll go into the USGA website, 47 degrees, I'll start consistently fishing. And what I'll start out with is a white grub. A white 3-inch, 3.5-inch grub. And depending on how the fish are reacting off of it, I will do a steady retrieve, slowly off the bottom. Slow, like the lure's just basically off the bottom, or I will do the 2 bounces pick up. And what I mean by that is I want you guys to throw your line out, 6-pound test. Okay, I use 6-pound. I know Ryan Downer that uses 4-pound. Marty likes to use 4-pound early in the season. So don't think that the light line with the more game fish such as walleye and muskie can't be landed on 4-pound tests, because they can. They can, guys. You can, as long as you have your drag set and you have a halfway decent rod, then you guys will be okay. A 7-foot or a 6.6 rod is preferred if you're fishing in the river. You could go a little bit longer if you want to, even if you want to get a little bit longer of a cast, like a 7.2 or a 7.3. Some guys I know use noodle rods. Like a few years ago when I was fishing with Seth, him and I would take the noodle rods. So it just all depends. Now, when you guys start to fish, start looking for like the water clarity, and the water clarity will help you tremendously as to what colors to choose. But I like to keep it simple, gentlemen and ladies, if you're listening. I like to keep it simple. I like to go with just a green pumpkin, with just a normal green pumpkin black flake grub made by Yum, and you can find that pretty much anywhere. And a 1/8 ounce ball head jig head. Depending on how high the water is too, sometimes I'll go to a 3/8 or a quarter. Just depends. And the retrieves I was telling you about, steady retrieve, slow retrieve, steady slow, or steady if the fish are really moving, and or a 2 bounce, let it sit for 3 seconds, 2 bounce, let it sit for 3 seconds. So hopefully that'll help you guys on that aspect. Now, once the water gets up a little bit, the water temperature gets up a little bit, early in the year, we're going to get those rains, guys. It's inevitable. April showers bring May flowers. And March and April are very unpredictable, especially in Pennsylvania. This whole year has been very unpredictable with weather, coming from the rain and whatnot. So, but what I'll start out with is actually the grub and work my way up to a paddle tail, a Ned rig, a tube, and then once the water starts to get into that 52 to 53 degree range, I'll start out with crankbaits, spinner baits, jigs for largemouth, and but we'll get about that later. But what I really want to focus you guys on is early season, March and April, late February, March and April, especially in March, because March is a really fun time. You have no idea sometimes as to what you're going to catch, and that is the best part, because them forgot about hybrid stripers and white bass. They love those grubs too, guys. And another thing, I'm not going to give you guys all the secrets because, we kind of need a little bit to ourselves. But I want to tell you that sometimes floating those paddle tails and sometimes floating those swim baits are a better presentation. And what I mean by that is I want you to get more of a bigger size bobber that will be able to withstand a 1/8 ounce jig head ball head jig head. And I want you guys to find the depth as to where you just want that lure to go right off the bottom. So you're using the float, put it about 2.5, 3 feet down, depending on how high the water is, and try to keep it right above. And sometimes just keep it right where as is. Sometimes those fish are sitting right underneath of it, and just for the fish will be sitting right underneath of it, right? And it'll give them a couple of seconds to look at it and say, this is really intriguing. And as soon as you move that jigging bobber, bam, bobber's under, you got a fish. So try different techniques. I'm not going to give away some other techniques that guys have told me because I feel as if that's wrong. And a lot of you guys know what you're doing, but I would like for you guys to understand a little bit more. And for those guys that have a hard time in March, April, and May, and that have a hard time, finding where these fish are at. Now, when you're looking for fish that are coming out of the wintering holes, those fish are actually sitting there, waiting to move up the spawn to get out of the wintering haunts. They're moving up. They're hungry. They're chasing bait. They're finding bait, and it's actually one of my it's my favorite time of the year, guys. I can literally, if you guys have seen maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, I used a pink trout worm in one of my videos, and I swear to God, I've caught every single species off of that pink trout worm, floating a trout worm for trout. I've caught smallmouth, walleye, hybrids, spotted bass, white bass, everything underneath the sun, and carp, suckers, crappie. I've caught everything. We've caught everything off of it, and I'm not feeding you guys BS. I'm being truthfully honest. If you guys are looking for more of a finesse technique, a pink trout worm is one of the best presentations during the early year. There's barely any action on it that's coming off of the tail, which is why I think some of those fish really like it, because they see something bright, but also it's not throwing off a lot of vibrations, so they're seeing it and they're just hungry. And especially smallmouth, they're very aggressive in early, the males that push up first, they're very aggressive to find their haunts that they want to get ready to spawn in. They're very aggressive as to, just keeping other males away from his spot, because he wants that spot. So when that big girl comes up and is ready to spawn and do the wild thing, they're there and prepared. So grubs, paddle tails, tubes are a really good thing. A Ned rig is like one of the best that I can say for early smallmouth and walleye. The purple and the earthworm, the purple and earthworm color is one of my favorites. I want to call that a PB&J, which is exactly what I think they call it, or a mud bug or something along those lines. I think it's a PB&J. Give me a second here, guys. I'm on a bad road. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, the PB&J Ned rig just seems as if that dark purple really gets their attention in muddy or clear water. And sometimes I don't want you guys to think that in muddy water you could still use finesse techniques, just work your areas a lot more and a lot slower. But I hope this guy's, I'm trying to do this podcast thing to tell you guys like what's on my mind, and I really should write some stuff down and get it pretty organized, because my mind is everywhere sometimes, and I'm trying to tell you guys everything that's in my head, and something pops up and I'll tell you something new. I feel like I'll overload you guys sometimes, but I want you guys to just have a basic understanding of what lures to use and what to get ready for. March, I'm telling you guys, I understand that it's cold during this time of the year, but I'm telling you, once that water starts warming up, I've caught some of my biggest fish, guys, on the crappiest days, but the water temperature is going up enough to get those fish to move in and to come out of those wintering haunts. And some of those days, I promise you, you will have one of the best days. Jerk baits are a really good thing too, guys. I want you to know. Jerk baits, gold jerk baits, silver jerk baits, gold and cloudy days, clear water, silver and or a translucent and clearer days in clear water. So a little bit bigger profile also is what I like to use in muddier water. I like to use like one of those Zoom grubs. I like those big papas or whatever they call them. I like those guys. But yeah, I think I've given you guys enough information for a podcast. I know I don't do like an absorbent long amount for a podcast, but I figure, hey, why don't I get out some things that's on my mind and bring you guys another little video and whatnot. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. Check out my other channel if you haven't. Make sure to check our Facebook page, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'm Jake, and I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye.